Hey guys, thanks again for tuning in. I'm going to feature on this YouTube it looks like a slip seat. It looks like that you can just do like you've seen other YouTube videos, even in my YouTube videos that show how to upholster a slip seat, and you hand pleat the corner. Now, when you have something that's raised like this, usually you see a lot of this on benches. It doesn't have a seam around here. That would be called a box seat if it had a seam around here like this and some welting. That's done with the top, a border, and a piping put in. This is a little different. Okay, this has waterfall all the way around. This sits into a very high-end piece of furniture, by the way. I'm reupholstering this. That's why I'm writing on it. But I want to show you something that I don't like this. What they did over here, they just kind of hid that like that. That to me is not professional at all. So you've not seen, this is a new video for me for you guys. I want to show you how to make this really clean looking. And that's way to do that is you have to sew this with the machine. And there's a way of measuring this all out and going about it, and I want to show you that. So I hope you learn a lot. This is really good to know for benches. It's unusual to see a chair like this. What they've tried to do on this is to make this look like an old Stickley, okay, which had a drop-in unit and had hand stitching over here. And so that's why it's raised up like that. It doesn't look like a dining room chair. It looks more like it has some substance to it. Okay, anytime you have anything more than an inch, you run into a problem with the hand pleating like they did. Okay, so we're going to make this look clean by doing machine pleats, and I'll show you how to do that. That's what this is all about. So the first thing I did was I measured my cover from, usually I tell people 3 inches, but I want you to be a little tighter on this. I want you to do 2 inches over. So measure from where it's stapled to where it's stapled. It was 25, so I cut it 27. 2 inches bigger, okay? And also front to back. So let's just move that. So then I cut it. It was a different measurement. It wasn't square, okay, because this is your furthest measurement. It tapers back, okay? So that's another reason why I'm about to show you that you really need to make sure that you pin tack this securely and then get your center points, and I'll show you that in a minute. The very first thing I want you to do is turn it over and measure side to side. It's 19. Get an exact center point. Right, 19, 9.5. I'm standing on the side just to show you, right? 9.5. That's 1. And that's the front. This is the back. 9 inches. I like round numbers when I do this. Okay, so we got our center point. We got our center point here, our center point here, front and back. Okay. So then what I do is, I'm a real creature of habit, you guys. So I cut my vinyl out. It's having a vinyl too, which is even a really good reason to make sure these are stitched, because if you've used vinyl, or this is a faux leather, it's really difficult to get those pleats tight. You really need a tight pleat, and you can't do a tight pleat on something that's so high. See, you want to try to maintain the shape of this. So they got away with it somewhat because of the lightness of the fabric. But if they were using a leather or faux leather, that would look terrible around there. You would have had it all loose and everything else. So what I want you to do is make sure, creature of habit, right? I mark the front, okay, because it isn't a square, right? Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fold this in half. And if I talk too much, it's only because of the beginners. Some people who watch these videos are really good upholsterers, and they've been doing it a while, and they probably say, oh, he talks too much. I don't blame you guys for saying that, but we're trying to, so if you think I talk too much, just turn the video down and just watch. It's for our beginners and our journeymen that we talk a lot, and you'll see that on most of my videos that I'm blabbing away. So what I did was I folded this in half, and I got a notch. A notch is just a cutout piece of fabric, really as thin as you can get it. Try not to overdo it, especially if you're doing cushions. You're taking a 1/2 inch seam. You don't want to take a notch that's an inch into the fabric, right? So I got that. Now I'm going to bring this over. I'm just going to turn this to me now so that I see the front. And I got my front. I'm going to line the front up, right? I'm just going to pull this over a little bit. You heard my compressor go, because that's the next thing I'm going to be doing. I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to try to balance it out to get an even amount of fabric. I'm going to follow my middle. I'm going to put my notch up to the center, and I'm going to pin staple. You guys know, if you've been watching some of my other videos, the pin staple is just you're turning the head of the gun just slightly. I would suggest that if you're a beginner, use tacks. Put 3 tacks in, 1, 2, 3. Pin tacks, you guys. And if you've seen my other videos, you know a pin tack is a 6-ounce tack about halfway in. I'm going to pull this a little bit. Not much. Let me tell you, you don't need the same stretch that you use on other things that you've seen me do. This is a very light stretch because the fabric kind of sits on the top. The pleats do a lot of the work for you on that as far as the stretching goes. That's hard to explain, but trust me. So I'm going to give it a little pull. I'm going to get one staple in here. It's another reason, you guys, I love the YouTube videos, and we love our YouTube station because it's really, we love doing it. But we don't get into a lot of, there's one element in upholstery that it's very difficult to teach unless you're actually teaching somebody, and that's why the online classes are so important. You guys should just check it out, just to look at the front pictures on that, just to look at the website at BroadwayUpholsterySchool.com. You'll see, the reason I bring that up now in the middle of this is because I talk a lot about this type of stretching, and because I'm showing it to somebody and the people are asking the questions about it. So it really is one of the better ways of learning, I think. So I'm going to do now, forget about that, that's all I'm going to say about that. We're going to bring this over and we're going to get one pin tack in the middle on each side. Alright, give it a little tug. Okay, so now I'm all set up now to cut my pleats. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut one side because I have it centered, right? I'm going to cut one side and I'm going to cut it down to 1/2 inch because the machine stitch, all our stitches are half of an inch, right? So so I usually like to start in the front, right? So I just want to show you guys. If you're not sure, what you can do, you can get, I'm at the corner here, I'm at the front corner. You could get another, be careful when you do this, another staple right there just to hold it tight. Did you see that? And then, I want you to be able to eyeball this. If you're not sure, you certainly could take your tape measure, but you really need to get right into your work too. Look where I am, you guys, because I have to come from the floor. I'm at the edge of right at the edge of the seat, right, edge of the frame, and I have to be 1/2 inch this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use my eye just to go right up like that, and watch how this flaps out. See that? Isn't that cool? Flaps out just a little bit. I'm going to go just a little bit teeny more. And then I'm going to come this way. I'm going to tuck this in a little bit. Then I'm going to come this way. I'm going to line up my edge. And I'm going to do that 1/2 inch this way. And to show you, I'm just going to go like so. Eventually, when this is stitched together, look at that, you guys. I'm not going to get to the stitching area. Look how nice that looks. Now I'm going to check it again. Watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to unfold it. And I'm gonna go back in to see. I love this, how I cut this. Except for down at the bottom, I think I might just trim it up just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. And then I'm gonna take this piece separately and to see, up at the top, I can trim it just a teeny bit more. It's this piece. Okay. Now let's see. I think I'm going to be thrilled with that. Okay, let's do the back one now. Okay, because this tape is back, you need to make sure you cut this one separately. It's not going to match this one, right? If, you guys listen to this, if this was a square, you could have done one corner, make sure you mark the center of the sides, which you notice that I didn't do for a reason. Because once I cut this, I'm just going to flip it over and cut the other side. I'm going to do that for you guys. If it were a square, you could mark the whole thing, only get one of these, and then flip it to the other side, get that, and then flip it this way and get that. You could, from one cut, custom cut, and get all 4 corners if you were doing a square. Does that make sense? But because this tape is back, it's going to be a little different to the back. So let's It's a little, admittedly, this is a little nerve-wracking. So if you, this is my cover. So if you're not sure about this, you can make a pattern. You're more than welcome to do that. Most people make patterns. I just cut, right? But I've been doing it a long time. So if you want to make a pattern out of muslin, old muslin that you have, an old cloth or whatever, by all means, do that. Okay, so now I'm going to be cutting this at the 1/2 inch. I'm going to come up like this. It's going to, oh, I love the way this is coming out a little bit. This is a little tighter in the back, so it's easy to read. Look at that, you guys. And I'm just going to take this in just a little bit more. I read that really, that was a little easier to read than the front, because the front has a little bit, it's a little softer, right? So it's a little subtle. And this, working vinyl is not as easy as working fabric, you guys, too, so just keep that in mind. So now that I'm really happy with this, I'm going to take this part, see where I'm at. Take all my pin staples out. Well, if you're using tacks, you'd be taking your tacks out. Oftentimes I find myself improving on manufacturer's furniture. And I think this is an improvement over what it was. I think it's a little bit more thoughtfulness, don't you, instead of just throwing it on and they got a pleat on the side just because there was a wood frame on it. They're trying to hide the pleat is what they were trying to do, but I didn't think it was a good idea. Okay. So one more in there. That stubborn guy didn't want to come out. Move this over here. So we have our notches, right, you guys? Actually, I like to fold it this way because it's a little easier to see with the white, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up my notch, my center point. I'm going to line up both center points, make sure I'm really perfect. I don't want to pleat this too much because that will make a fold in this. If you had fabric, you can push it down, but I can't push that down too far because it's a vinyl, right? And I want to show you something, a proper machine pleat once you do it. So the back, I'm just going to go along here. I'm going to trim that just a little bit. Do this side. Yes. There you go. So let's just put it up there to get a sense. I'm not going to do the stitching on this today in this video. I just wanted to show you more how to do these, get ready. This is called preparing for a machine stitch, right? That's going to be perfect. Perfect. So there you go. So the next time, if I have another video on this, we may show you how that's done. But for now, this was good to show you the machine stitching. And if you have any questions, as usual, in the comment section of each video, we sometimes feature those. A lot of times we feature those on our live show. So after this one, if you want to comment, please do, and we'd be happy to do that. So we'll see you next time. Thanks.